My dear brothers and sisters, for us to appreciate this declaration of this Kairos moment, truly, truly, I say to you, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. For us to appreciate this, we also need to appreciate what should have happened before the hour came. There are moments when it was thought that maybe that was the hour, but it was declared not. In the same Gospel of John, you realize that in John chapter 2, verse 4, is found in the story of the wedding of Cana. When Jesus was in dialogue with the mother, he ended up saying, "Woman, what do you want from me? My hour has not yet come." Again, in the same gospel, John 7, verse 30, when he was in dialogue with Sadducees and Pharisees, they would have arrested him then, but because his hour had not yet come, no one laid a hand on him. John 8, verse 20, Jesus answered, "You do not know me, nor do you know my Father. If you did know me, you would know my Father as well." He spoke these words in the treasury while teaching in the temple. No one arrested him because his hour had not yet come. And today, the hour has come for him to be glorified. What is the difference now? In all these other moments, the hour had not come. Even great things or great signs were showing as if it was the hour, but he declared that it's not my time. But today, pay attention to the beginning of this gospel. Among those who had come to worship, there were some Greeks who came among them, and they approached Philip, who later on also went to Andrew, and then they went to Jesus to say, "There are some Greeks who want to see you." And then from there, Jesus declared that truly, truly I say to you, the hour has come that the Son of Man will be glorified. The hour of glorification has come. Why? After being approached by the Jews. Why? He has been with after being approached by the Greeks, he has been with the Jews for many times. And we know from other Gospels that he came for the house of Israel. But now he is declaring the coming of the hour to the non-Jews. Why? This is very important. We know that this is a shift from particularism to universalism of Jesus' mission. He was not here only for the Jews, but for all the people. So now, since the Jews are realizing, the Greeks are realizing that he is a master, and Jesus is saying, it is time, because I came that they may have life and have it to the full, even including those who were Gentiles. It is the right time because they have realized now universally that I am for the kingdom, not only particularly for the Jews, but for everyone. Some minor details are very important. Philip and Andrew had Greek names. So it was not just that Jesus called them. He called them that they will fulfill this time. The Greeks found it easier to approach these 2 men out of 12 because there was something relational. And they took the message to Jesus. Greeks were very philosophical. So, why did they want to see Jesus? Why? I'm very curious myself, but there's not really an answer in the scriptures. Because Jesus, when he was told, that's when he gave a parable of the grape, a parable from nature. First Greek philosophers were naturalists. And in Greece, they had just killed a man who was a voice of reason called Socrates. And they had realized the mistake they had made. From afar, they are hearing of a certain master who is full of wisdom, but is being hated. People are plotting to kill him. So they have said, let us go and redeem him. Let us go and redeem him, because we don't want to continuously losing great men because of our emotions, because of our wrong understanding. Let us go and redeem Jesus. But Jesus is declaring, no, the hour has come that I can redeem you completely by my death. And then my resurrection will be the testimony of the glorification. He is telling the Gentiles, he is telling us that if I remain alive, I will be aligned to the Jews. But if I die, I will be productive. I will be the Lord of everyone. It is because of this declaration that we are here today. It happened chronologically in Palestine. But the Kairos moment was not only for Palestine. It was for you, it was for me. And it is the moment which we are reliving today, that hour which has come. Because he said, when the Son of Man is glorified, whoever will value the life of the Son of Man will also be glorified. But whoever remains sticking to the joys and dictates of this worldly life will not experience this glorification. In our lives, we have experienced many Kairos moments, or we will experience them, when we are making a decisive declaration about our lives. I have seen many tears being shed after a wedding, when the bridegroom and the bride are parting ways with their families. When they are pronouncing their vows, sometimes they shed tears, because that's a declaration they are making, which is going to have a complete reorientation of their lives. I haven't seen many tears being shed when people are making maybe final vows, when people are being ordained. I haven't seen many tears, but since we have also tears of the heart, maybe we shed our tears in the heart. But we have many examples where we have seen tears, where people are supposed to be happy. Then they call them tears of joy, just to be cosmetic of the situation. But the actual fact is people are saying, now I am making a decision which is going to change my life completely, and at the same time, I'm getting into an unknown reality. Even Jesus himself, after having made this declaration, his soul was troubled. And his question, is he making the right decision? But he's saying, not my will, but the Father's will. For us as Christians, the declarations we make must be supported by the will of God. If we make them on human grounds and human conditions, they will collapse very fast. But if we bring in God, like what we have heard, that Jesus Christ learned to obey through suffering. He knew that even though he was going to bring joy and happiness to the world, but it was not going to be a joy and happiness through a bed of roses. It will be through the crown of thorns. It is in suffering that we are happy. No pain, no gain. No sweat, no sweetness. The candle supposed to have its wick bent and its wax melt in order to give light. You and I must learn to let go that which is important so that we can bring something which is better. We can't just bring goodness without sacrifice. And as human beings, we suffer a lot when it comes to that. We want soft life. We want instant things. And we want happiness without sweating for it. But I tell you solemnly, that will be a mere pleasure. If we want permanent joy, permanent freedom, permanent love, we must suffer for it. Every one of us must ask ourselves, we have got different vocations to religious life, to family life, to single life. But what is that you are sacrificing? I know those who are in religious life, they say, yes, I've sacrificed myself. I know I was going to be a capable father of 8, a capable mother of 6, but I have sacrificed that. But is that enough? You have decided to be a celibate, to be chaste, but sometimes you are an unproductive celibate. So yes, you decide to rot, but it failed to germinate. You are failing to germinate. You need to be a productive celibate. That which you sacrifice must be a seed. That when people see you, they don't regret. Because for some of us, they say, yeah, he's a religious, but he's not a happy one. And I wish if that one would have, I think the wife was going to console him better. Or the husband. But also at the same time, there are those who are into marriage, whom you say, I think they would have been better becoming religious. Because they are not very responsible of the children they serve. The hour has come. We need to make a declaration, my dear brothers and sisters, to let go. We all have values. Jesus had a value. Life is sacred. And he knew he was not taking his life for granted. But he said, this precious gift, that precious gift is what I'm going to sacrifice. Most of the time, we don't sacrifice that which is precious. We sacrifice that which we don't want. Check on our time management. Check on our time management. When something very important is supposed to be done, it's not given the most important time. Said, let us check if there is a timetable. I think we can take there where there's sports there or everything. That's when we say, because already we are not very much committed to that. We give that which we don't want. When it comes to fasting, it will be very easy. I still remember one time here that we can fast beans. But every time you hear people say we don't like beans. But when it comes to fasting, I think it's very important that we fast beans. We sit down, we check and evaluate our lives. We check on the values that we have. What is very important in our lives? And they say, if I sacrifice this for the sake of God, will I benefit more? And most of the time, the answer is yes. This is not a moment of pretense. You have heard in the first reading that before the law was being taught by rabbis, was being taught by those who were responsible. But now, God is saying, I'm going to engrave them into an individual's heart, so that those who are slow or who had somebody standing before them to teach, they will refer to their hearts. It's no longer a class issue. It's no longer a societal issue. It's no longer a collective issue. It's now an individual issue. Every one of us is containing the laws of God. You don't even need to read the scriptures. I always argue with people to say, out of the 10 commandments, how many can you say were actually brought to your culture by Christianity? Which culture ever promoted stealing? Which culture ever promoted adultery? Which culture ever promoted killing? No. We only discover what is engraved. What is engraved in our hearts by God himself. When we are talking of prayer, when we are talking of being in unison with God, what we are saying is we are discovering what God has put in our hearts as the treasure of our own lives. We journey the life of Christianity only to discover what is in our hearts. I would like to finish with the fulfillment of the prophecies which were prophesied before and are being fulfilled by this declaration. The hour has come. We find out that before it was prophesied by Daniel. Daniel 7 verses 13 to 14. As the visions during the night continued, I saw coming with the clouds of heaven one like Son of Man. When he reached the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. He was presented before him. This is the hour which has come. He received dominion, splendor, and kingship. All nations, peoples, and tongues will serve him, represented by the Greeks today. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that shall not pass away. His kingship, one that shall not be destroyed. The hour has come. Jeremiah 8. Thus says the Lord of hosts, There will yet come peoples and inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city will approach those of another and say, "Come, let us go to implore the favor of the Lord and to seek the Lord of hosts. I too am going. The hour has come." Many peoples and strong nations will come to seek the Lord of hosts in Jerusalem and to implore the favor of the Lord. And today we are in Jerusalem. And thus says the Lord of hosts, in those days, 10 people from nations of every language will take hold. Yes, will take hold of the cloak of every Jew and say, "Let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you." The Greeks took Philip and Andrew and said, "Let us go with you. We want to see Jesus." Isaiah 2, verses 2 to 3. It will happen in the final days that the mountain of Yahweh's house will rise higher than the mountains and tower above the heights. Then all the nations will stream to it. Many peoples will come to it and say, "Come, let us go to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, so that we may walk in his paths. For the law will issue from Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem." My dear brothers and sisters, this is the hour. Let us go and meet the Lord.